Hello YouTube, Happy New Year. Welcome back to my channel, Madam Winnell. So I wanted to do a video where I answered a lot of the questions that I frequently get asked on Instagram, YouTube, in my personal messages and stuff like that. I actually held a live session on Instagram in December. Yeah, it was December when school ended. And I had people asking me different questions, and some people have requested to have me answer those questions on YouTube. So now I'm doing that now today for you, and I'm excited. Are you? Anyway, so since we've last spoke, I started my second year of medical school. I'm currently in spring semester, and right now what's on my mind is boards. So in your second year of medical school, you have to take your first set of boards. So because I go to an osteopathic medical school, I have to take 2 sets of boards. I don't have to take, but in order for me to be a more competitive applicant, I'm going to take the COMLEX, which is for osteopathic med schools, and then the step 1, which is for allopathic MD schools. So I'm taking both of those boards in June, 1 week apart from each other. And yes, I have to focus on schoolwork, but really I'm focusing on boards. I'm doing like 70% board study and 30% schoolwork. Luckily, the curriculum is like integrated in the sense that when you're studying for boards, you're still studying for your schoolwork, and then obviously your school has other stuff that they want you to know. So I'm gonna fill that in towards the end. I've noticed that my most popular video is the video where I talk about my transition in my career from being a dental hygienist to a medical student, and I'll just refresh your memories with that. So I was a dental hygienist, and I intended on going to dental school to become a dentist, and after working a few years as a dental hygienist, I realized that I just didn't want to do have a career in dentistry. I got really invested in investigating all these things with patients and seeing how their oral health was related to their systemic health, and that's why I applied to medical school. So now I'm here, so now I'm going to answer your questions. Let's go. Okay, so someone asked, how do you get to medical school with little guidance? So, I mean, when I decided to switch careers from dental hygiene or from dentistry to medical school, I didn't have many mentors. I really just went on Google, and every school has their requirements, and you look at those requirements and you see what requirements you need. I mean, luckily for me, I had intended on going to dental school, and most of the requirements for medical school are the same for dental school, so I had most of them, but I did have to take the MCAT, obviously, which is different, and I took biochemistry, and I also had to retake some of my prerequisite classes because I did not do that well in them, and I wanted to boost my GPA, so I got A's when I retook those classes. And yeah, I'm probably answering into different questions or whatever. But yeah, as far as little guidance, I would say Google, faith, perseverance, go online, look up medical students, look up doctors, ask them if you can shadow them, reach out to people in your community, reach out to your friends, ask them if they have medical student friends or doctor friends that can help you. And if you are enrolled in school, make use of your advisor, and hopefully they're good enough to guide you in the right direction. I know there's a lot of advisors that don't give you the best advice. My advisor didn't really give me the best advice, and that's why I had to find things out on my own. Another thing, do not let advisors tell you that you're not good enough for med school because your grades, because you can overcome those hurdles. If you looked at some of my grades, like, you would not think that I would be in med school today, and I am. So do not let anyone tell you that you are not good enough. Okay, how to pay for med school. So most medical and dental students, pharmacy students, stuff like that, we are eligible for a federally sponsored loan. It's not sponsored per se, but the fact that you do get a loan to pay for your school, and then you get a refund to support your living expenses outside of tuition and stuff like that. These loans you have to pay back, and it's probably going to be a minimum of about $200,000, $200,000, 100K. So yeah, how to stay motivated. So in medical school, it is a little hard to stay motivated sometimes because you're seeing all of your friends who may already be married and they may have bought a house and they're all settled in their careers, and you're just like at home studying and stuff like that. But I mean, I know that this is my destined career, this is my passion. So when I see other people living their best life, that doesn't really bother me because I know that I'm heading there, and when I get there, I'm going to be ultimately fulfilled because I'm doing my dream career, and it doesn't matter how long it takes. And your timeline should not be reliant on someone else's timeline. So stop comparing yourself to people. Sometimes you may have to, if these people are really getting to you, you may have to just like delete them because it's, I mean, I get it. It's, you know, it's human nature just to see life moving really fast and before your eyes as you're just like studying and you're not seeing the benefits or reaping the benefits of your hard work yet. But if this is really what you want to do, you have to make sure that you are motivated. And I have a vision board that I created a few years ago, and I keep that on my wall, and I have everything that I want to accomplish or I have accomplished, and that keeps me motivated. So I would definitely recommend making a vision board. Also, another thing, you know, partake in things that you like to do. Like if you like to go to brunch, go out to eat, you like to dance, yoga, whatever it is, make time for that. Fit that into your schedule and create a time management plan that works for you, because it is really hard. I mean, really easy to kind of lose yourself in your studies as a medical student. So it is really important that you make time for self and, you know, just remind your little medical student self that you are still not a robotic medical student that memorizes bacteria, pharmacology, pathology, and first aid. Okay, what is one thing you would tell your younger self in undergrad? So one thing that I would tell my younger self in undergrad is to make more friends. Like I went to NYU and I made a good enough amount of friends, but for as big as that school is and as expensive as that school is and how many opportunities NYU provides for you, I think I could have done a better job in putting myself out there and getting more involved in different like on-campus activities and like networking, because as you know, when you grow up and go out into the real world, it is who you know. And also it's just really good to have a big network of colleagues in different fields and stuff like that, so that you guys can like bounce ideas off of each other and just keep a great network. But I am still NYU alumni and I am still paying their loans. Not right now, but generally, technically, I'm still paying their loans back. So I will be taking great advantage of their alumni services. How do you balance your lifestyle? So my lifestyle, I personally like to write stuff down. I have a calendar that is actually a blank calendar, and I have a real calendar. So my real calendar, I write down all of my exams that I have coming up and anything else that I have going on. And then my blank calendar is just for the week, and I like to plan things weekly and sometimes daily, because if I just plan the rest of the month away of what I'm going to do as far as studying and fitting in some me time, it's too overwhelming for me. So I will have like Monday, 2 hours of Padoma, 2 hours of video, 3 hours of questions. I give myself like a 2-hour break where I literally do anything that I want to do, which is usually cleaning, writing some blogs, whatever else I need to do, send some emails or whatever it is. And I also like to use the Pomodoro technique, which is you study for 25 minutes and then you take a 5-minute break, and there's 4 intervals of this, and then you take a long 25-minute break. And that is so great when I'm studying, because after the 25 minutes is gone, like sometimes it feels like forever, but a lot of times it's so short. But because you're racing against the clock, kind of like you get really, really productive. And then when you get that 5-minute break and you hear that ding, I'm like, oh, okay, let me get my phone, let me go on Instagram real quick. So, yeah, so those little 5-minute breaks are really good because I get up and I, walk to the kitchen, get some food, or I, will text my friends back or something like that. So it's really good, the Pomodoro technique. And I'm trying to find the app on my phone. The app is called Focus Keeper, and I have an iPhone, and I think it's on the Android, but it's on the iPhone as well. Yeah, it's called Focus Keeper. So this is the long break. But yeah, this is the 25-minute timer, and then you just like press it and it'll ding. And watch when you stop it. We'll skip, and yeah, that's the 5 minutes. Okay, so another question that someone asked was, what is the main way to improve your GPA after undergrad into medical school, post-bac, or master's program? Okay, so I took some classes while I was at NYU, and I didn't get the best grades, and I wanted to increase those grades for my science GPA. Because your science GPA is really important when you're applying to medical school, because you can have a 3.7 GPA, but if all of your A's were in, writing or like humanities, sociology, but you got like straight C's and all of your science prerequisites, it doesn't really look that good. So I wanted to get A's and not have, and I know that when you do retake classes, they do average those grades, so they're going to average your A with your C and get that, but at least it's better than just submitting your application with a bunch of C's or whatever. So when I graduated, I just retook bio, and I got A's in that. And what NYU's bio, I don't know, it's so hard. I don't know how it is now, but it's crazy. I didn't think bio would be so cray. But anyway, yeah, so I retook bio, and then because I was doing prerequisites and also had I was doing my major in dental hygiene, I had enough credits where I didn't have to take all my prerequisites while I was at NYU, so I had to take some classes after I graduated anyway. But I didn't do an official post-bac program, but I did take physics and biochemistry after I got my bachelor's. And I mean, it depends on how bad your prerequisite grades are. If they are, I would look into doing a post-bac program or maybe a master's program. As you know, I did a master's program, and I eventually got into med school because of that. And my master's program was actually first-year medical school courses. So, acing those courses is going to show that, yeah, if you can do that, you can definitely get into med school, and you can definitely do well in med school. And that's basically what I did, in lieu of a low MCAT score. So I would look into that if that is how your application looks. Is it too late to wait until you're done with undergrad to take the MCAT? It is not too late to wait until undergrad. A lot of people are doing gap years, where they take a year or 2 or 3 even off, and they do research and they travel and stuff like that. And it's really good to, discover things about yourself and also see if, medicine is right for you, and do some shadowing or internship opportunities and stuff like that to get more exposure before medical school. Because, once you're in medical school, it's, you're in full throttle, you're in overdrive. So I would recommend actually taking a gap year, even if it's, minimum of 1 year, and taking your MCAT, if that's the question. Yeah, you can take your MCAT at any time. I think during your gap year when you're not studying, give yourself like 2 months and just go hardcore. Go all in and study for your MCAT and get the best grade that you can. Remember, practice questions, practice full-length tests. It's the key to doing. They wanted to know, will my prerequisites like biology, chemistry, and algebra grades for dental hygiene program affect my chances of getting into the program? What my prerequisites? I'm not sure what they meant, but I think maybe if they didn't get a good enough grade in those classes, or maybe if they already took those classes at another college. It depends on what your grades are in those classes. You will need to take chemistry and dental hygiene, so if you didn't do well in chemistry, you will have to take it again once you get into the program. But I got into hygiene school straight out of high school, so I'm not really sure about the prerequisites as far as like coming from a different college. But most programs you need like a 3.0 GPA to get into the program. So I don't think it really matters on what your grades are in certain courses, but sometimes it's your cum GPA from your prior college. I could be wrong, but you have to check for the requirements on the website of that school that you're applying to. What is some studying techniques that you do or use to remember everything you need for a test or in general? Okay, so for me, I personally like to write things down because I'm able to look at it later and review it, because if I read it, I may remember certain things, but writing it down, it's called active learning, and that really crystallizes it in my brain. And sometimes when I'm on the test, I can actually see my handwriting on the paper or on the notebook, so that really helps me a lot. I like to use the Rocketbook notebook. I think I've showed you that on my Instagram a couple times and also in one of my videos. I personally like to color code my writing with markers and pens because it separates my thought process and I can compartmentalize different key concepts. So, I don't like to go to lecture. My school has video lectures, so luckily I don't have to go and sit down for a lecture, but I don't watch those videos either. I do use the slides that are provided for the lecture, so I will read on my own, and then I'll go to the lecture and get extra information from there, and all of the important points of the lecture, I basically rewrite it in my own words and how I understand it. And if I don't understand something, I have a separate set of post-it notes and I write that down to go review it later. And I make sure that when the test comes, if there's something that I didn't understand, I'm gonna make sure I understand it, even if I have to just simply Google it or ask Siri or something. Because you never want to go and sit down for an exam when there's a list of concepts that you didn't fully know 100%, because you're just gonna get that question wrong on the test, and that has happened to me before, and I don't want that to happen again. But yeah, so that is how I mostly study, writing things down. There's classes like pharmacology and microbiology, which I do not like that much because it's not really conceptual. It's just straight up memorization. There's no rhyme or reason or logical way to put it. It's just straight up memorization. So for that, I switch it up and I have to do flashcards, and it's all about repetition. I personally like to do handwritten flashcards, and that can take some time, but that works for me. Right now I'm doing both. I'm doing Anki, which is online, and handwritten cards, and mixing that up and seeing what works for me best. But for that's just straight up memorization. Anatomy is memorization as well, but I learned that when you're learning muscles or the heart or whatever and vessels, you learn to group things in categories. If you're learning the arm, you're going to have all the muscles that are supplied by this nerve, and then all the muscles in the shoulder that are supplied by that nerve. And then once you write that down and you start to see, okay, all of these are supplied by the same nerve and artery. There's only one muscle in this group that isn't. So it's always the exclusionary concept. Like, what's the one that's not? What's the one that's not really fitting into this equation? And that's what they like to test you on. Okay. Yeah, that's another question about staying motivated when you have very little support. I'm very thankful and grateful that I have my family and friends who do support me, and I know that not everyone has that, but my DMs are open. You can also reach out to a counselor in your school as well. Find a mentor in your community, perhaps. You can reach out to people. They say closed mouths don't get fed. So if there's someone that you would like to be a mentee for and you would like for them to be a mentor, just reach out to them, and you never know, they can really help you along your journey. So I definitely recommend reaching out to mentors that you feel would be closely matched with your interests and stuff like that.